This is Manju from Ayurhitam on a Friday evening. I hope all of you are doing well and keeping healthy. And as a part of my Fridays, last week I couldn't do it because I know there's a lot of uncertainty around with fires happening, with so many other things happening, so I couldn't do it last week. Thank you so much for joining. And today's topic is interesting, especially for a lot of us. I'm going to just put that note here, what the topic is about, so that when people join late, it'll be easier for them to understand what it is about. So it's going to be about incompatibilities within our foods. So it's really understanding incompatibilities. That's what we're going to talk about to begin with. But then later on, you can ask me any questions around the topic that we're speaking today, or any other questions that you have. That's not a problem. I'm going to just put that here, understanding incompatibilities. And I'm going to just pin that. All right. So the reason for me to pick this topic, I felt, is a lot of times many people come to me and ask me questions about, especially when I see the diet charts, when they come to me with the food journals, I see many food combinations, and so many times I keep on telling, oh, how did this combination happen? And this has been a problem for you this long. Had they known that, it would have been very easy for them to correct it. So the main reason for me is to explain different incompatibilities that are present and bring it down in such a way that it is easy for you to understand, and hopefully will be able to take it out of your diet, to understand what an incompatibility is, why is it necessary to understand it, and take it away from your routine if you're doing it. Yeah. So when I talk about incompatibility, it's really, we're so used to doing so much. If we are doing so little, if we're doing so plain, then that looks like, oh, it's so simple. If you look at a lot of yogis that have lived for 100 years or over 100 years, their life is super simple. They do not live a complex life at all. It's very, very simple. So inculcating that mantra for us is very important. And that's what I wanted to highlight upon. For us, we're like, oh, I need that amount of protein. I need X amount of carbohydrates. I need X amount of calories. I need X amount of fiber. I need this much vitamin. I need this much minerals. I need all of this. So we're so used to, I need to incorporate all of this. How am I able to get this? Oh, did I get this? Oh, did I forget that? Did I get this vitamin today? Did I get this dose of vitamin K today? Did I get my dose of potassium today? So we're so used to thinking it in that complex manner. Then eating or lifestyle becomes very mechanical. It's like, I've just seen a movie again. I know I've seen it again in the past, but I don't know if you've seen. This is a famous Hindi movie called Three Idiots. You know, there the guy, the main character, tries to simplify everything. The professor asks, what is the definition of machine? And he says, oh, a machine is something that is useful for us, that makes it simpler for us. But the professor is not happy with that answer. He wanted a proper definition that is written in the textbook, which is very, very complex to understand. So that's what we're used to. That brought me to the present moment saying, oh, this is what we're doing. We're making everything complex. So when we make everything complex, understand that our loyal digestive fire inside us, thinking that it can do whatever we give it, then our digestive fire one day is going to say, oh, this is not possible for me. I cannot handle this. What's going to happen is our channels are going to clog up. And that clogging of the channels is seen by bad breath, or slowing down in energy-wise, or you're so lethargic you cannot understand. It's very difficult to comprehend things, or that mental slowness that you have, afternoon mental slowness that you have, or any kind of indigestive symptoms that you feel. These are all like indicators telling you, listen to me, understand that you're doing something that you're not supposed to, right? So when we come to the topic, there are so many different kinds of incompatibilities that we do. The first and foremost I wanted to talk about is the combination incompatibility. The most favorite for all of us. Combining so many different things, especially smoothies in the morning. When we wake up, when it is so slimy outside, a lot of people are used to taking a smoothie thinking that they're, actually I know a lot of people drinking it for health, thinking that it's very, very healthy, and they gulp it down, even though they don't think it's very tasty. They gulp it down, adding milk, protein powder, especially cold milk, protein powder, nuts, all green vegetables, fruits, and everything. You mix everything together thinking that you're getting the goodness from all of this. Understand what happens, right? So if you're combining two different chemicals, a compound is formed, and you don't know if the compound that is formed will have the same characteristics of the original chemical or completely different. It's very difficult. And that's why scientists have given us all these inferences for us from their own understanding. Like, for example, the famous one that I can think of is hydrogen, 2 atoms of hydrogen with 1 atom of oxygen. When both of them are gases, hydrogen is a gas and oxygen is a gas. And if you combine them together, it gives a liquid called H2O, and that's water. It's difficult for us to comprehend if someone else has not given us that information. And we have accepted that information. That exactly happens when we mix these fruits and milk, especially together. Fruits already have that sour taste in them, that tart taste in them. Most of the fruits, not all the fruits, maybe mango is a debatable one, that it is kind of okay if you do it with milk, and dates are also okay if you do it with milk. But other than that, most of the fruits have that innate tartness and sour taste to it. And especially when you have to break milk and make it into cheese, you add vinegar to it. You add lemon juice to it, which is a sour taste. That's exactly what happens to your milk. So fruits have their own goodness. Fruits have their own nutritive ability that is given to us. And milk is a full food in itself. A baby thrives a whole year or even few months, at least 6 months, just on milk. So milk is a whole food in itself. Just drinking a warm cup of milk with just a little bit of spices is good enough. It's not necessary to add anything to it. Especially, and actually I'm going to say that it is toxic if you add anything else to it, like if it has a salty substance, if you're adding a savory along with drinking milk, or if you're adding any fruits along with it, then you're doing yourself a disfavor. So understand that it is important to get the goodness of each one separately than mixing them together. That's the first one I wanted to talk about. The second one I wanted to talk about is potency and compatibility. So milk has cold potency. It is cold. Even though you drink it warm, even though you warm it, it still will have its cold potency when you drink it down, right? And fish, on the other hand, because it has to survive in water, has to have heat inside it. So if you're combining anything that has heat potency along with cold potency, then the incompatibility happens. I know a few places in India are used to eating fish with milk, especially. It's not recommended to eat fish along with milk. Again, because of the potency incompatibility. If you have any questions while I'm talking with any of these concepts, please feel free to ask, and I'll be sure to answer them at the end. Another one I wanted to talk about is order incompatibility. This is the most important one. The order incompatibility can be like, you must eat your sweet taste first. When you're eating your full meal, it's important that you eat your sweet taste first. Then in the middle can be your sour and salty taste. And at the end comes your bitter, pungent, astringent taste. That's what the textbooks have written. But we have forgotten it. We have been used to eating desserts at the end. Let's understand why. So our intestines are empty, presuming that we're eating when we're hungry and when our intestines are ready to accept the food, right? So at that time, our intestines are empty and they have certain amount of air element in them. The vata dosha is present because it's empty for a long time. So if there is an air element and if it is empty at that time, it is good to add a water and earth element. It's good to give it a heavy substance at that time to balance out the air and space. To balance out the air and space, it's good to give some heavy substance. And that heavy substance can be in the form of sweet taste. So it's important that we give the sweet taste to begin with, like a grain. Or if you're used to eating a sweet along with the meal, even though it's not so much recommended, it's not incompatible, it's just going to be very heavy. If you're used to eating it, then eat it with the first bite. Eat it as the first part of your meal. That's how you start your meal. And that's how we're used to, especially those of you from India, that's how we're used to back home when you go to a wedding or a party. That's what we're served with dessert first, right? So we do that first. And then afterwards, in the middle comes the sour and salty taste, which is like the soups or the rasam or the sambar that comes in the middle part, because that's when you have to again kindle the fire more with the sour and salty taste. At the end, you must end with bitter, pungent, and astringent taste. And that's why we're used to ending our meal with buttermilk. Buttermilk has all these qualities. It's very dry, it's astringent, and it is used to digest. So ending your meal with buttermilk is definitely recommended. Or right after you eat your meal, what we can do is you can take like a mix of fennel, cumin, coriander, jeera. You can make like equal combinations of these, keep it in a box, and take like a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/8 teaspoon of it and really chew on them right after you eat. So because all these spices have these tastes, the tastes of bitter, pungent, and astringent are going to be in all of these spices. So it's best to chew them very well and swallow the saliva after you chew. Chew it slowly in such a way that the saliva goes in, and that will be helpful for digesting the heavy meal that you have just had. And again, this is a very, very common habit that a lot of Indians do have also. Pan is given at the end of the meal. The pan, which is a betel leaf, has all this taste. It has that astringent taste. It has that pungent taste. Along with adding all of these, it has the black salt added to it. It has lime added to it. It has some fennel seeds added to it. When you mix all of it and you eat it, then that's going to help you digest. Again, the new kinds of pans that are coming out, the sweet pans, probably are not going to be as helpful as the original pan, but that is the idea. That is why it is important that you eat it in this manner. If you reverse it, then if you're eating just the pungent and astringent one in the beginning, then you're adding to the already present air and space element, right? And if you're ending the meal with a heavy dessert, your digestifier already has a lot of load and you're adding another load on top of it. So again, that's going to be incompatible. Understand that this is going to cause a lot of problems in the future. So that's one form of odor incompatibility. Another form of odor incompatibility is where a lot of people shower after eating. Traditionally, again, growing up, I was always told never shower after eating, never shower after eating. And I never knew why it was. I was just following what I was told, thankfully. But when you eat, all your food goes and stays in your gut because that's where the digestifier is. It has to be in that place for it to be digested. If it moves elsewhere, then the digestifier is not moving along with the food. So it's important that the food stays there for it to digest properly. So as minimal activity possible after you eat your food is important. If you go for a walk, usually they say Shatapauli, which is 100 feet of walk is good enough. Like a small pace, not a fast-paced walk. And it's that the reason is because you want the food to stay in its own place. If it moves away from its place, then it doesn't get digested with the fire that is there, right? So that is one of the reasons. And again, abhyanga is not done after eating, but before eating. So that's another kind of odor incompatibility that's done. Next one is processing incompatibility. A lot of us are used to drinking lime and honey water in the morning. Honey should never be heated. If honey is heated, it turns into a toxic substance that even the textbooks have said there's no medicine that can treat it. You know, it's not toxic that it'll become lethal and it'll be very, very, it's poisonous that someone will die because of it. It's not that toxic, but it's that slow poison. It's like the slow poison that's injected over time will create problem, right? So that's what's going to happen when honey is heated. So never heat your honey. Do not add it. You know, there's a tendency that, you know, it's a natural substance. Let me use a natural sweetener. I do not want any artificial sweetener. All the white stuff is bad. I want to stay away from sugar. I'm not saying that you can go and eat a lot of powdered sugar. Yes, eat raw sugar. You know, the mishri that's available, the raw sugar, the rock candy kind of sugar is okay. You can eat that. But substituting that for honey, especially for baking your goods or adding it to your tea or adding it to your milk, is very, very dangerous. You think that you're doing a favor for yourself, but heating it is not good at all, especially also when you're drinking it in the morning thinking that you're cleansing. You know, this was written in the textbooks also, that madhudaka is what they call. You drink honey water in the morning to lose weight. Yes, that's given in the textbook, but somehow it is misinterpreted, and this is how it came up as that you can add honey to hot water and drink, but that's not recommended at all. Again, it's a processing incompatibility. The next one is going to be a dose incompatibility, where somehow honey and ghee, when they're given in equal quantities, again becomes a toxic combination. It should not be equal. Most of the times when you're taking any products, especially for your cough, especially for your dry cough, if you're taking anything, and if honey and ghee are given, then do not take them in equal quantities. Take them in unequal quantities, like 1 part of honey to 2 parts of ghee, or 2 parts of honey to 1 part of ghee. That is again a dose incompatibility, right? So then again there is a contraindication incompatibility. It's like parihara viruddha is what they call it, where a lot of people are used to, us now at least we're not going out so much, but used to, especially this is more so often in India, not so much here, but more so often in India, we're used to working under AC. Like it's very, very cold. When I go to India, I go and sit there and the temperature inside the room is very cold. And you go out, it's hot summer. So you're going out directly, your body there's no room to adjust. You're exposing it to that very, very cold AC and then going out to heat. That is very, very contraindicated. Or even if you're consuming hot or consuming cold water right after your hot tea. Again, your body is so confused. You're like giving hot things and you're giving cold thing again. Or another example can be eating your cold ice cream with a hot melted chocolate. It's so yummy. I think about it and my mouth waters to eat it. Eat it once in a while, it's okay, but these are the things that you have to remember, that they're doing something to our body, right? So exposing yourself to extreme weathers, extreme conditions is not recommended. Cold and hot, or if you're eating very, very hot soup followed by a very, very cold ice cream, it's like you're giving your body to a shock. That's exactly what happens when they're pasteurizing milk, really. But that's a whole different story. Again, we can only control whatever we can control. So understanding these is very important. Then again, it's desha viruddha is what we call. The place that we are plays a role. There is a certain type of foods that the place that we're living in grows, or people here are used to. It's best to get acclimatized to that kind of food. Now we're in a limbo, right? Because for us, we're used to, especially for me, for people like me growing up in India, I was used to eating a different kind of food. And when I come here, it's so much different food. So that's a tricky thing, but understanding that what my body can accept. My body is so much used to what I was eating from childhood. So I continue to eat that. Thankfully, I can find all of that here. But for my kids, it's a very, very different story. They can handle things that are grown here. They can handle things here, especially, an example for that would be Europeans, right? They're used to eating a lot of cheese and drinking wine. They're still able to digest it. The same amount of cheese, if I try to eat it, my body will just keep it. I might gain a lot of weight, but it's not a good type of weight. It's not like I will have a lot of energy and a lot of strength because of it. That's not a good type of weight. That's what I'm talking about, because my fire is not able to break it down and digest it. So it's important to follow whatever our ancestors have eaten. Yeah. And then comes the kala viruddha, which is time incompatibility. So eating very, very hot things, or like hot chips with hot salsa when you're in a beach outside in hot summer is not a good idea. It's already very hot and you wouldn't want to increase the heat. Balance is the key. So that is again a time incompatibility. Again, these are all given for people like me who probably have like a moderate amount of digestive fire. If there are athletics, or if there are people that have a lot of digestive fire in them because that's what they have trained from childhood by doing a lot of exercise, or by doing good quality foods, or by doing abhyanga. There's so many things that people would have done from childhood to increase the digestive fire. For them, they are okay to indulge in these things without having any trouble at all. But only for people, if you are seeing that you're easily getting filled up right after you're hungry, but then as soon as you eat, oh, I'm full. Or you're not digesting your food maybe 3 or 4 hours after you eat, or you don't feel light at all, you feel like lethargic right after you eat, you want to go take a nap. Or if you're one of those that there's bad breath, or your sweat smells, or you have to urinate for a lot of time, these are all indications telling you that something that you're giving is not being accepted by my body. So please address it. That's the way our body is telling us. If we can address them in the right time and the right manner, yes, we can definitely live for 100 years. I mean, it's not necessary to live for 100 years, really. But what I'm trying to say is, as many years as you live healthy. That's the most important thing. You wouldn't want to be dependent on anybody as long as you live. So that's the whole idea. I know I get this question like, I'm living now, I want to enjoy, and everybody's going to die anyways in the future. Why do I have to worry about taking care of these things now? Why can I not enjoy my life now? We don't know what's going to happen later. We cannot guarantee that you're going to be happily just go like that, right? What condition we are going to be in and what kind of illness we have to take care of, nobody knows. So it's best to take care of these minor things. This is very, very simple things that we can accept. All I'm saying is just eat a light breakfast, heavy dinner, which probably has one grain, no multigrain atta, or no eating different grains one day, eating quinoa one day, eating couscous one day, eating amaranth one day, so that I can get good of everything. That's not at all required. You give the body same thing again and again. Again, think about all those sadhus who probably don't have any vitamin or mineral deficiencies, even though they don't incorporate all the proteins that they need to. They don't incorporate all the amount of fruits that they have to, but they still have good health. They don't have all these deficiencies, right? So living simple is the mantra. That's what we need to follow. I hope that was helpful for you. I know there is a lot of information that I just gave in, but I thought it's very, very important that we address these minor things. Understand how important it is that simple goes a long way. We don't have to make life complex at all. Just make it simple, and that goes a long way. And that's what I wanted to address today. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer that questions. Thank you so much for staying along, and I hope that was helpful for you. I got this question earlier asking, is it okay to add milk along with the curries? And that's the question that was sent to me earlier. They wanted to address it because they couldn't attend. Adding milk to the curries is again an incompatibility. We spoke about the combination incompatibility as to how when you add milk and the curry most likely has salt and sour taste to it. So it's not going to be a good combination. It's probably not best to add, or it's recommended not to add. Again, the same thing goes with the adding either yogurt to the curry. I know a lot of people add, especially when making meats, different types of meats, adding yogurt is a custom, but that also is not so much recommended. And there's this other question that was sent to me at drinking milk with the fruits is not recommended. Is it okay to eat yogurt along with fruits? Again, that's a another deadly combination. Yogurt already has a lot of innate sour taste to it, and it's already very heating. And fruits also have, and most of the fruits also have a lot of sour taste to them. So again, you're increasing a lot of heat inside the body if you're combining them. It's incompatible if you combine fruits and milk together, and it's difficult to digest. And it's very, very heating if you take yogurt and fruits together. Again, that's not so much recommended also. I know I'm probably bursting a bubble for a lot of you, but a lot of moms I know feed especially milk and banana for their kids, thinking that that's the way to grow the child, that's the way to fatten up the child. Of course, the child will become chubbier as soon as you start feeding it. But understand that it's not a good type of calories that you're adding. It's not the strength that's being given. It's just the bulk that's being added to the child because the fire gave up and said that I'm not going to digest it, and that just stayed there and adding to the bulk, but it's not going to add anything. It's not going to add to the strength of the child. So that's not a very good combination also. Yeah. And there's one more question that was sent to me. So drinking that hot water with the honey, you were saying that I had a question saying that it's good for, it's written in the textbooks, but how can it be taken? So water can be boiled and brought back to room temperature, not heated. Not at when it's hot. Heat it, bring it back to room temperature, then add honey to it and drink. That's what's going to help scrape off the excess fat. But if you just add honey to the already hot beverage, that's again becoming toxic and it's not going to help you any better. Heat the water. So for example, you can take like about 400 ml of water, boil it down to 100 ml, bring it to room temperature, add like a teaspoon of honey to it, and actually bring it to room temperature. That's the more important thing. Bring it to room temperature, then add a teaspoon of honey to it and drink. If you drink it every day, it's called madhudaka, and make sure that you get the best quality honey. We're lucky here in the California that we get honey directly from the farmers, and that's the best quality honey that we get, and it's a very, very good scraper of excessive fat. If you continue to do that every day, it is definitely good for that, but never do that with hot substances and hot beverages. Yeah, good. So those are the questions that I got, and if you do not have any questions, we will see you all next week. I hope that was helpful for you. As usual, if you have any other extra questions that you have, feel free to reach out to me at Ayurhitam. I do this live every Friday. Planning on moving it to 6 p.m. Some of the folks have asked me to do it 6 p.m. because 5:30 still there is work time and not so much convenient because of work time. So I've moved it to 6 p.m. Suggest if you have any other topics that you would like to listen, and follow Ayurhitam on Facebook every day. I'll be posting something that's interesting. Again, this is all that I have learned from the past several years, and it intrigues me still every day. A lot of information that I keep learning every day, and it's just my, I feel it's a privilege that I'm able to share this information with all of you. Thank you so much for inspiring me to continue and share the knowledge. And thank you so much for joining. I'll see you all next week. Have a very good weekend. Bye bye.